Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to the first video in my series on healing the mother wound. The purpose of this series is to bring awareness. It's not so much on healing the mother wound, because most likely your mother wound is in shadow. If you've seen my other videos, I talk about the shadow. I talk about just parts of ourselves that we don't like looking at, that we end up repressing, but at the end of the day, they are a part of ourselves. So we are hiding ourselves. We're not achieving our full potential, and it's the same thing with the mother wound. So my series is meant to bring awareness. Please like, share, comment, do anything that you can to really bring awareness. I'm not really focusing on the healing part of it right now, because you cannot rush healing, especially on a topic as sensitive as this. I, of course, chose to the sun is coming out. I'm working on my tan at the same time I'm doing this video for you guys. I chose to do this series for the month of May, of course, because Mother's Day is in May. And it might be a hard holiday for you. If we consider it a holiday, I'm not quite sure if Mother's Day is considered a holiday, but either way, it is a day that people in the open cherish and celebrate. But I do believe behind closed doors, we do have some type of complaint, resentment, shame, guilt, anxiety that is tied in with our mothers. Now, when we're talking about our mother wounds, the mother wound is usually talked about in a mother-daughter relationship dynamic. However, men are also affected by the mother wound. It's most obvious, honestly, it's most obvious in the violence against women, right? It's most obvious when men, in misogyny, and when men abuse and violate and sexually assault women, right? Because it's not so much the woman, it's this sense of power, and it's also the men's repressed femininity. Because, like, windy, and I appreciate it. Because like women are told that they need to repress their masculinity, right? This is why we have the notion that women are always supposed to be nurturing and loving and things of that nature, submissive, passive. And men are the ones who are supposed to be assertive and hard, right? Men are supposed to cry. So this is how the mother wound manifests in men. I don't want to talk about it only from a perspective that only women need to heal their mother wound. Just like next month when I talk about the father wound, it's not only something that men need to heal. We have to understand that we have physical parents who brought us into this world, but the main point was for us to identify with our spiritual parents, to connect with the divine masculine and the divine feminine within ourselves in order to be whole within ourselves, and not look back at our childhood and say, this is the reason why I'm so fucked up right now. It's not about associating blame. It's about forgiving and healing and becoming what we lack. So, the four functions of the mother's role. The four functions of the mother's role, because the mother has kind of four primary functions. The first is what we're talking about in this video, is nurturing. Next Monday, I will be talking about the mother's role as protector. The following video will be about the mother's role as empowerer. And then finally, in the last Monday of May, I will be discussing the mother's role to initiate the child into society, but mostly initiating woman into womanhood, because there's kind of there's an obligation for the father to initiate as well. So that's probably where we'll see the divide in sex and gender. Before I jump into this, because I do want to kind of make this It's going to be a long video, but I do kind of want to make it short because I don't quite know how much video time I have right now. It usually tells me. And I want to get everything in. I just want to do one video, no edits. You guys, if you guys see my Twisted Tea, I don't edit anything out. So, disclaimer, first off, I might be talking about some sensitive subjects, things that are hard to hear, hard to look at, things like that. I don't mean to not be tactful. However, I do not have the time nor the patience to beat around the bush. I believe that this wound has been suppressed for such a long time already that I don't really need to do any more keeping anything in the shadow. I understand that people are at different stages in their healing. I'm sorry if anything that I say is going to trigger you emotionally, but that should be an alarm for you to handle this. Because anything in shadow, especially our mother wound, it's just going to hurt us in the end, okay? Like I said, this is just about awareness. I'm not forcing healing on you. Healing is done at your own pace because our mind never puts more on us than we can handle, right? Just like they say, God doesn't give you a cross that you can't bear, such like that. The mind isn't going to unleash all your healing all at once because you can't have a mental breakdown, right? So that said, jumping right into nurturing, the mother's role. Now we could be talking about physical security, and if we're talking about your mother being physically absent, not providing for you, not providing you for your physical needs, then yes, you're gonna have feelings of probably fear of abandonment and untrustworthiness, some depression, of course, probably eating disorders. There's definitely the wound that comes with a parent being physically absent, but often with the mother wound, what I see is a mother who might have been emotionally unavailable, and the emotional unavailability is what affects our growth, our psyche, kind of a lot more than whether you were able to eat. What if you had a mother who loved you and was so good to you on the emotional side, but wasn't able so much to provide food all the time? Your nourishment will be a lot more fulfilled than, let's say, a kid who had mad food, all the clothes, toys, but their mother was always unavailable emotionally. You will have a stronger kind of psyche, right? And we see that in nature even. As babies, especially as babies, we come into this world as a new being of light. Physical substance, anything physical, is so new to us. But a baby comes into this light as love, into this life as love. So that's kind of that emotional connection is kind of more what they crave, right? That's what we crave as babies. So this emotional unavailability, it could lead to two type of attachments that we develop that would not only affect our relationship with our attachment with our mother, but also when we're older, how we interact in society. The first is the avoidant attachment. The avoidant attachment is when we are scared to ask our mother for love because we're scared of the consequences. And this is, I would say that this will probably be more prevalent in men, and is the cause for men not knowing how to really communicate with women, right? They don't know how to say what they want, especially if it's about feelings and emotions, because they've been taught to hide that so much that they're numb to those emotions. It's not really their fault. They're numb to them. They might have an avoidant attachment where they are scared. They don't know how to probably deal with the rejection of asking for what they want. So it remains a shadow. However, there's another attachment, and I think I probably fall into this category of the ambivalent attachment, And ambivalent is when we don't know whether we're getting the good mommy or the bad mommy that day, okay? Or that hour, right? So when that child grows up, we just kind of expect the instability of relationships. We don't really expect anything to be stable because we've already seen firsthand how our mother's mood swings, and as a child we take that pretty deep. We take that hard. I know me. I grew up with a bipolar mother, and so I definitely didn't know which version of the mother I was going to get, and I had to learn how to take care of myself, feed myself, and such at a young age. But emotionally, it really affected me because I didn't have other kids. There was no other siblings. There wasn't another parent. It was just my mother and myself. And I would feel my mother's pain. And it taught me a lot. Now, this is one of the first things in the mother wound that I'm going to talk about. When we go through that, we see how much a woman sacrifices, self-sacrifices. We see how a woman is expected to be perfect, and that if they are seen being weak, they will be judged, they will be shamed, they will be guilt-tripped, and it causes anxiety. As children, then, when we see our mothers hurting, we might take on the role of nurturer, right? Be emotional caretaking. And that is something else that we transfer into our relationships in the future, where we have a high tolerance for poor treatment from other people. Because it's a pattern that we learned. We saw our mother sacrifice so much. We've seen her cry behind closed doors. And honestly, our society tells our mother, that she has to be perfect and she has to do everything without complaint. She has to take care of the child, bring home a check, make food, keep a clean house. And those are exorbitant amount of pressure for for anyone, right? Like, no one could be perfect all the time. So when you're thinking and reflecting on your emotionally unavailable parent, it's kind of like, at some point we have to extend some sympathy to them, because you have to understand they didn't have an outlet. They don't have an outlet to construct and channel these very normal feelings. No one could be loving and nurturing all the time. At what point do you turn around and say, I have to do what's right for me? At what point? Our mothers, our grandmothers, women, all throughout time in society and centuries before, we have to nurture. We have a job and duty to our kids, to our men, to our society. Even though women are kind of like the only ones in society who are allowed to cry, even then we can't show that weakness, right? That's what we learned when we saw our mother, locked up in the bedroom or the bathroom. And we're like, okay, so we have to be perfect, and when we want to break down, we do that shit in quiet. That's what we learn about this emotional caretaking. Also, how emotional caretaking transfers over into men, and our relationships with them. Because men too have a mother wound, right? And men, this mother wound might manifest as a man looking for someone to nurture him just like the mother did, right? Now, okay, women, all right, we'll deal with, cooking and cleaning for you. But when a man comes to a woman and expects them to take care of them emotionally, that is an extreme demand. That is very hard. And as a woman, if you want to heal your mother wound, you need to put an end to that. You don't owe anyone to taking care of someone else at the sacrifice of your health. Okay? You don't owe it to anybody. I know the society wants you to feel guilty if you had to tell somebody no. It's all right. Men do it all the time, and they're considered bosses. So we have to do the same as women in order to heal our mother wound, our inner mother, and in turn balance out our inner masculine so that we can be whole, right? Now, talking about emotionally unavailable, I don't want anyone to think that this means that your mother didn't spoil you, okay? Because I was spoiled. I had all these toys and stuff that I didn't want nor ask for. And they were used as manipulation. They were used to manipulate me to say, you can't complain because look at how much you have. So if I try to talk to my mother, if I try to say, you know, I'm feeling upset. I feel some type of energy towards my mother. I don't know. I want to work it out. Oh, your mother just bought you this. Your mother just bought you that. Your mother treats you so well. Your mother's your best friend. Don't complain. You don't complain about your mother. And that's what we get. And you know what that does? As far as our mother wound, it makes us feel like our emotions are not valid. In turn, too, we can grow up and we could say, when we feel an emotion, we could in turn to escape from that emotion. I mean, you know, there's drug use, but there's also simple things like eating. You know, eating as an escape. Shopping, filling a void. You're trying to fill the void because that's probably how you were taught to deal with it as a kid. You know, that's how you were taught to deal with emotions as a child. And of course, so further, this instills guilt, right? Makes us feel like our emotions are not valid. And it's just a source of manipulation. It's kind of, and you know, as kids, we feel that manipulation, even though we don't want to say it consciously, because once again, we can't consciously say that our mother is doing anything but the very best for us, with the very best intentions at all times of her life. She sounds like you. Also, another factor of this mother wound is smothering, over nurturing. It kind of deals with emotional caretaking again, but it's a little deeper. It's kind of this smothering. When we were kids, it could have led to things like the mother not differentiating between her life and their child's life. This is when things like projection happen, right? I want you to have this job. You're supposed to do this. Why aren't you married yet? When they're just overly involved in your life, that could happen from smothering, from too much being upon you. We have our own lives to live. And mothers feel like, I mean, and they should, they created you, so they want you to be something, right? They want you to be, because you're a reflection of them. Now, however, if we thought about taking that role of mother off her head, like, you know, we wear different hats, right? We all have different hats. They say that being a mother is the hardest job in the world. So that means that if it's a job that you can take off that hat, right? You can take off that hat and you could do something else. You don't have to be a mother 100% of the time. Just like if you was flipping burgers at McDonald's, you don't have to be a cook at McDonald's 100% of the time. You are other things. If mothers were kind of allowed to live their passion, if they were given permission by patriarchal society to work on your goals and raise children, then, I mean, they might have been more fulfilled. We could be in turn more fulfilled. But I think that women are just kind of told that the greatest thing that they can create is a child. And that is sad because we see men create so much, right? We see men create businesses, civilizations, wars. We see men create a lot. With no regard to the feminine. And women are just led to believe that we can only make babies. Another part of the mother wound is comparison and competition that will lead into, it goes into your adulthood, right? Comparison, when your mother is like, you're too fat or you're too thin, or you look trampy, or you're not feminine enough. Whatever all those judgments and comparisons were, what it consciously taught you, what it subconsciously taught you that you consciously act out, is the need for validation. You need validation from others. So now as an adult, you might ask someone, do you like my skirt? Now 100 people could tell you, I love your skirt. But if you don't like your skirt, does it matter? That's it. You need to validate yourself. You need to approve of yourself. Because when we ask other people or look to other people for how we should live, we never feel fulfilled, because we never know what we really like. What do we really want? Take away all that programming, all the voices of your mother in your head. You know, you don't even realize that it's your mother's voice that stick with you that long, but it is. It's not your voice that's like, you look fat and that. Like, it's not your voice. You think it's your voice in your head, and it's not. Also, competition. Competition is a big one with the mother wound, because we often feel so competitive with other women, right? I'm going to tell you this right now. If Mother Earth woke us up, we all woke up today, then Earth fully has the resources to take care of all of us on this planet. So if they could win, you can win too, without a need for competition, without having to try to be better than another woman. Because we got to understand, how we treat others is how we treat ourselves. So if we want to be better than someone else, we'll probably just want to be better than who we were yesterday. But this competition that we feel, it comes from this jealousy that we felt from our mothers. And this is one of the biggest taboos. Look, even the sun went away for a second, right? This is one of the biggest taboos. Our mother was jealous of us. And it's not so much jealous of you. It's very normal. I really don't want to say normal, right? Because it doesn't sound good. But it is somewhat normal. Because what makes it bad, though, is that it's in shadow. Our mother created us. And they see us in them. And they see you developing sexually, and the attention that you get, and they feel like they don't get that anymore. Oftentimes the mother would be mad at a husband or boyfriend for, even innocently showing you affection. It's not sexual at all. It's not incestual at all. It's just something, once again, that's when our mother doesn't, that enmeshment, which is that enmeshment is when that, just that connection between the mother or the child and mother. And it's kind of like, I don't know where the mother ends and the daughter begins, and that kind of thing. And so they just see them. They see themselves in you. And then that's when things like them being all up in your sexual life happens, right? You had sex yet? Still a virgin? Check your underwear. Crazy things like that, right? So competition is another. You might attract women who are constantly competing with you. Now, if this is a part of your mother wound that you need to heal, because it is something that I had to heal, and I'm still working on healing. I will tell you how we dealt with it as kids and how we should go on to heal this wound. So as kids, we felt, we knew that our mothers were threatened by us. We won't dare say that they were jealous of us, but we knew, right? We knew. So then we unconsciously a little bit just try to dim down our power. Try to not seem so threatening to her. But in turn, then when we grow up, Now, we don't want to threaten any woman. We don't want anyone to feel insecure. So then we kind of shroud away. We want to disappear. We want to disappear from women. We don't want anyone to feel threatened because it's not our intention. But it's not your fault how someone else feels. That is not your weight. If you walk around looking bomb, gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, head to toe, and someone else feels insecure, how is that your problem at all? So if that's something that you need to heal, please understand. People are going to, especially women, if women want to compare, if women want to compete with you, that is not your responsibility to try to make anyone feel better about themselves, try to convince anyone that it's not your job. Just be you to the best of your ability. Be the best version of you. Be the most beautiful version of you. Be unapologetic. Do it without shame. Okay? So, before I talk on the last, which is kind of very broad, security, but I do want to share my story on how the security aspect of the mother as nurturer has affected me. Now, when I was 3 years old, my mother and I went into a homeless shelter in New York. And my mother does not like that. My mother didn't want to stick that out. You know, she was scared. It was a lot of fear for her. It was, how do I get out? So she made this deal with my grandparents. And she said that we'll move there so that she could get out the shelter system. And that's all well and good. But when my grandfather was the one who raped my mother at the age of 7, I had to think to myself and wonder and say honestly without rose-colored glasses, did my mother really know and expect that would happen, that I too would be raped when I was 4 years old by him? Is that something that was part of the deal of security, exchanging security for the virginity of your 4-year-old daughter? And that is something that has altered my subconscious drastically. It taught me a lot of things about this mother wound that needs to be healed. First of all, that security comes from outside of me. I can't find security without help from someone else. It further perpetuates the codependency that we might feel dependent on someone else, right? Especially for financial stability. Because as a child, we already feel that. We already feel like we're dependent on someone else to live. But that moment when I as a kid, when I subconsciously pieced everything together, definitely affected how I viewed security. Taught me to run away from problems, sell my soul if I have to do it, right? Also taught me a false belief about my esteem and how my esteem was directly connected to my physical value. And what's physical value in the eyes of God? To a spiritual being, what is physical value? But that's something that I had to work through from a subconsciously learned pattern that you don't want to be in a homeless shelter. Do anything. Sell your daughter if you have to avoid just a short-term angst. Teaches me not to be patient. Teaches me that I can't have security from within. That I can't build my security. That I'm going to need to depend on someone else. So, how do we heal these? And this isn't even all of the mother wound. Like I said, I have 3 more videos. This is just kind of the mother wound symptoms that pertain to the nurturing aspect of our mother, right? So, how do we heal that? first of all, we need to forgive. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive our mothers. This does not mean to go pick up the phone and text, email, call your mother right now. It doesn't mean that. Don't be too quick to extend the forgiveness. Forgive for yourself. But as far as extending it, chill out a little bit. Okay? You have a lot of years of mother wound issues in you. Work through that first. Make sure that you fully know what you're forgiving, okay? Because just because you're ready to forgive, just because you're ready and you feel strong enough, it doesn't mean that the other person is ready to even acknowledge that they wronged you in any way. And especially when we're dealing with our mothers aren't really the I'm sorry type of women, right? So don't be so quick. You might just end up hurting yourself emotionally again, stabbing the same wound over, be in peace with yourself for a little bit. Now, also, if you need to separate yourself from your mother for a little bit, and you could do this without conflict, do that. You need, once again, to heal our mother wound, please understand, if you don't take nothing else away from this video, please understand that you need to take care of you first. I don't care who it is. I don't care what you owe them. You don't owe anyone anything, but the biggest taboo that we have is that we owe our mothers our life, right? That's why we can't say anything bad about them. You don't owe anyone anything. You owe yourself the most love and nurturing that you can give, right? You owe yourself. No more self-sacrificing. That is one of the major, biggest problems of the mother wound. No more self-sacrificing. Love and nurture yourself. Take care of yourself. Tell yourself loving things. If you're really mindful, when you're healing your mother wound, you're going to learn that mindfulness, if you practice mindfulness meditation and stuff like that, and if you don't, I suggest that you do, because it really makes you aware of those thoughts in your head. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't think I have any negative thoughts about myself. And then if I'm just like sitting and I really am conscious about, I tell myself some fucked up things. Things that I would feel so ashamed if I told somebody else. But you know what? What I also realized, I didn't go too hard on myself. I realized that that's not my voice at all. I realized that that's my mother's voice, or my grandmother's voice, or someone else's voice that's making me feel fearful and shame and guilt and anxiety. And that's not me at all. So be mindful of your thoughts and recognize which ones aren't yours. Now, when you recognize a thought that's like, you look fat in that, grab it. Real quick, grab it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to judge it. Oh, you're horrible and all. Don't judge it. Just replace it. Grab it and say, actually, I look good in this and I feel beautiful. And then release it. Now you transformed something. And that's how you start changing your mental patterns, right? Those subconscious. You change your subconscious so that you could be more whole. It's the same question. Being your own inner mother is essentially how I could put all of that advice into a nutshell. Be your own inner mother. We have to realize that our physical mother was put here put here on this earth to birth us, but that was her role in it. She brought us into this earth. That's it. We need to focus on the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother within, the Divine Mother outside. If you see, I love being outside in nature. I love connecting with my mother. This is my mother. This is my mother. I am my mother. I am my mother to my own inner child. I have a whole family in here, okay? You might want to say I have split personality, but I'm probably the most whole person. It's not about split personality. It's about all these personalities working together to be greater than any one of those. And that's to make you the most infinite being that you are. The blocks to healing our mother wound. The fact that we don't talk about it. Once again, I said earlier, the mother wound is in shadow because we don't talk about it. It's a taboo to say that, our childhood could have been better. But it's a taboo to say that. I've already always been that black sheep, so I guess I'm just like, I don't give a fuck what you say. But that's the first block to healing our mother wound, is the fact that we don't even talk about it, because if we're not aware of it, then we cannot fix it. So that's the biggest block. fact that you even got this far in the video, kudos to you. Because I'm sure you had some type of programming that told you that you couldn't say anything like this, and you couldn't believe anything like this. I remember when Eminem's Cleaning Out My Closet came out, and something within me was like, I vibe with this, but then my conscience was like, no, you can't say that, you can't, you know? So the fact that you are even this far in this video, and if you continue to watch this series, kudos to you. Congratulations. A second block to healing is this patriarchal society. This patriarchal society that puts this expectation on women, what women need to be, that we need to be perfect. Number one, as male energy, how could you say what a woman needs to be? And how could you say that a woman needs to only be nurturing, repressing our masculine, suppressing our power, you know? It's very dangerous, and it's funny because it might be paradoxical. We might think that women would like that us as mothers would be like, yeah, you know, society is telling us that, you know, we got the toughest job and people admire us and stuff like that, but that's the reason why our mothers hide in the bathroom and bedroom and cry, because of those expectations. Remove those expectations. Realize that your mother is more than a mother. She's a human being just like you, and she had dreams and goals, and she, just like you, are allowed to work on those and pursue those goals, okay? It's all about compassion and forgiveness. And like I said, you don't have to forgive right now. It's not about rushing forgiveness. Like I said, being a mother is one role of many infinite roles that we have on this human being to partake in. And it's not fair, however, when our mother doesn't have anyone to talk to about this stressful role as a mother. It's stressful, but mothers are just too scared to say it because society is like, you can't say that, you know, and so they don't know where to go to. And they don't have a therapist, and a psychiatrist, and a friend, and anyone that they could talk to because it's a taboo to say it. So then what we do as the mothers in turn project these feelings onto the child, or they expect their children to be that emotional caretaker for them. And we're in a pattern, okay? We're in a pattern. That's how we find ourselves in a pattern. So find groups as a mother if you are struggling with feelings of, you know, any of these nurturing feelings, any of the feelings that I talk about in any of my videos. There are groups like Holistic Hair Counseling program for birth and parenting. There are groups that you can speak openly and honestly without judgment and shame and anxiety. And that is how you release, okay? That's how you be more whole. That's how you avoid damage. You think that you're avoiding damage by suppressing things, and it's only hurting you. It's hurting yourself. It's hurting our children. It's hurting our men. It's hurting our society. At some point, we have to say no. Okay? At some point, we have to love ourselves more than we love other people's judgments of us. At some point. And that's part of boundaries. And having boundaries is an important part of nurturing. Because having boundaries raises our esteem. Because when we tell people how to treat us, and we only accept that and not any less, like we put the bar here, don't even come down here, right? That's how you raise your esteem. But boundaries is not only important for our nurturing, it's also important for our protection. And our mother is also our protector. It's one of the functions of motherhood. I encourage you to watch my next video on the mother's role as protector and how you could heal that part of your mother wound too. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, email me. I have my links in the description below. Thank you. Thank you for even caring about yourself this much. Thank you for being this brave to get this far in this video. I love you. And honestly, that doesn't even matter. Do you love you? Are you your mother? Are you the greatest mother to your inner child that you can be? Okay? Do you approve of yourself? Do you look for validation from elsewhere Do you feel like you need to depend on anyone else? Do you feel like you need to take such high abuse from others? If so, then I hope that this video helped you see the errors and those outdated patterns of thinking. I hope that I just helped you, bring you one step closer to healing your mother wound. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.